The locks were changed, my clothes, my tools, my memories dumped in cardboard boxes on the porch, and my wife, she sent a text. Just a few words that shattered 7 years of marriage. You're no longer welcome in my house. Her house. Funny considering I was the one who spent months gutting it, rewiring it, making it the dream home she loved to show off to her rich friends. I stood there frozen while Tiffany's family pulled up in their shiny SUVs, smirking like they had front row seats to some comedy show. Her brother even pulled out his phone and started filming me, laughing, mocking, as if I was the joke. But here's the thing, they didn't know. I wasn't just a guy with a pickup truck and a broken heart. I had receipts, I had proof, and they were about to learn exactly who they had messed with. If you were standing there in my boots, what would you have done? Would you have swallowed your pride and walked away? Or would you have fought back one cold, calculated move at a time? Tell me in the comments. And if you believe in standing your ground when life knocks you down, make sure to subscribe. There's a lot more to this story. My name's Alexander Washington. Most folks just call me Alex. I'm 37 years old, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm an electrician by trade. Not flashy, not fancy. But I built something with my own two hands, a small business that paid the bills, kept a roof over my head, and let me live on my own terms. I met Tiffany about 9 years ago at a local real estate event. She was this whirlwind of designer clothes, expensive perfume, and big dreams. Her laugh could fill a room. And for a guy like me who spent most days knee-deep in wiring and drywall dust, she seemed like a breath of fresh air. We came from two different worlds. Her family was old money tied up in real estate developments, country clubs, and charity galas. Mine working class through and through. My dad ran a car repair shop. My mom taught third grade. We didn't have fancy vacations or private schools, but we had pride in honest work. At first, Tiffany loved that about me. She said I was real in a world full of fakes. She said I grounded her, kept her connected to what actually mattered. I believed her. God help me, I did. But from the beginning, her family made it clear I was never truly one of them. They smiled at me at dinners, but behind closed doors there were whispers, comments about ambition and finding someone on her level, little digs about my pickup truck, my calloused hands the way I talked. I shrugged it off. I wasn't marrying them, I was marrying her. Or so I thought. The first few years, things were good. We bought a fixer-upper house together. Well, it was technically in her name, because her parents insisted on protecting her assets. But I poured everything I had into it. Weekends, late nights after work, I rewired the entire place. Fixed plumbing, redid the flooring, saved us tens of thousands of dollars. Her parents praised the renovations in public, but in private, they'd say things like, "Imagine what you could have done if you married someone with real resources." Tiffany would laugh it off. Back then, she still defended me. She told me to ignore them, told me we were building a life that was ours. I held on to that like a life raft. Because deep down, I knew I didn't fit into their world. But I thought love was enough. I thought loyalty could bridge the gap. Money couldn't. I didn't realize loyalty only matters to people who value it. And Tiffany, well, I was about to learn the hard way where her loyalty really stood. It didn't happen all at once. No big blowout, no dramatic betrayal in the dead of night. It was slower than that. Quieter, like a leak in a pipe. You don't notice until the whole floor rots out. It started about 3 years into our marriage. Tiffany's father called one afternoon, said he had an opening at the family's real estate development firm. Nothing major, just a project coordinator position. Mostly paperwork, networking, showing up to ribbon cuttings and high heels. Tiffany had never cared about the family business before. She used to roll her eyes at it. Said she wanted to do her own thing, maybe open a boutique one day, but now she acted like it was her calling. Overnight, she became obsessed with appearances, new wardrobe, new friends, new version of herself. And suddenly my world, the one we had built together, wasn't good enough. The little digs from her family became a steady drumbeat. Dinner conversations turned into competitions. Who drove the nicest car? Who closed the biggest deal? Who vacationed where I was just there? The guy with work boots and drywall dust still clinging to his jeans. At first, Tiffany tried to pull me along, pushed me to dress a certain way, suggested I upgrade my truck to something flashier, something respectable. She started introducing me at parties not as my husband Alex, but as Alex, he runs a small business, with a tight little smile like she was apologizing for me. And when I didn't fit into her new world, when I didn't schmooze and brag and kiss up like the others, she stopped bringing me all together. Our weekends, once filled with late-night drives and greasy burgers, turned into her jetting off to wine tastings and charity auctions without me. I could feel her slipping through my fingers, but every time I tried to talk about it, she shut down, said I was being insecure, said I should be happy for her success. And maybe I could have accepted that. Maybe I could have learned to live with being left behind if it had just been about the parties and the clothes and the fancy dinners. But it wasn't. It was the way she looked at me now, like I was a burden, an embarrassment, a relic from a life she was trying to erase. And still I stayed, because that's what you do when you love someone, right? You stay, you fight for the life you built together. Even when they start building a life without you, the moment it all truly shattered wasn't some screaming match. There were no slammed doors, no broken plates. It was quieter than that. Colder, I had been out of town for a couple of days, working a tough job about 2 hours away. Long days, cold nights, just me, my crew in a half-built apartment complex that needed rewiring from the ground up. I was bone tired when I finally pulled into our driveway, or what I thought was still our driveway. The porch light was off. The windows were dark. That strange sinking feeling hit me before I even touched the doorknob. Because the key, the same key I'd carried since the day we moved in, didn't fit anymore. I jiggled it, tried again. Nothing. I stepped back, and that's when I saw it. Two cardboard boxes sitting on the porch. My boxes, my clothes, my tools. My framed photo of my dad and me from the day I opened my business. There was no note, no explanation, just a text from Tiffany. 5 words that punched harder than any fist. You're no longer welcome here. I called no answer. I pounded on the door. Nothing. 10 minutes later, her brother and 2 cousins pulled up in their shiny new trucks. They climbed out grinning like they were about to watch a football game. Phones already recording, Tiffany appeared in the doorway, arms folded cold as ice. And with that same mocking smile she used to save for her family's snide jokes, she said loud enough for the cameras, "Alex, you need to leave. You're not my husband anymore." When I demanded to know why, when I pleaded for her to talk to me, like the woman I had married, she just laughed. And then the real knife? She accused me of cheating, of betraying her. I felt the ground shift under my feet. I couldn't even speak. All I could do was watch as her family filmed my humiliation. The boxes, the accusations the man they'd always thought was beneath them, brought low for everyone to see. It would have been so easy to lose it, to scream, to cry, to fight. But instead, I picked up the first box, held my head high, and made a decision right then and there. If they wanted a war, they were about to get one. And this time I wasn't playing by their rules. The first thing I did was leave. Not because they told me to, but because I refused to give them the show they were so desperate for. I loaded my boxes into the bed of my truck, climbed behind the wheel and drove away without looking back. But in my mind, I was already laying the groundwork. I wasn't some fool who stumbled into their trap without a backup plan. I had kept receipts, literally every repair I had made to that house. Documented every time I worked for Tiffany's family business. Rewiring one of their rental properties, updating the electrical in a development site, installing breaker panels in luxury homes. Documented, I had emails, texts, invoices they had never paid. I had it all. And that wasn't even the worst part. When Tiffany's family started pushing her into the business, they got sloppy. They needed permits pulled for new developments, and they started using my electrician's license without my permission. I found out by accident about 6 months earlier. One of my old buddies from the county office flagged a permit with my license number on it, a project I had never even heard of. At the time I let it go, told myself it wasn't worth the fight, but now it was dynamite. The moment I got to my brother's place where I crashed for a few days, I pulled out my laptop and started building my case. Step 1, I met with a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, a specialist in professional damages and construction fraud. When I showed him the documentation, he leaned back in his chair and smiled. This, he said, is going to bury them. Step 2, we filed for divorce, not just a standard no-fault filing, but a full-blown contested divorce citing wrongful eviction, defamation, and financial misconduct. Tiffany had claimed the house was hers, but with the documented improvements I had made, plus evidence that marital funds had been used, I had a strong claim to the equity. Step 3. We filed a separate civil lawsuit against Tiffany's family business for unauthorized use of my professional license. Fraudulent permitting, endangerment through unsafe electrical installations. Step 4. We quietly tipped off the state licensing board and the local building authorities, anonymous at first. Just enough to get the gears turning. Investigators love a good paper trail, and I had built a highway of evidence straight to their front door. It didn't take long. Within weeks, the building inspectors started showing up at Tiffany's Family Development's, clipboard in hand, hard hats on shutting down sites left and right. Some of the violations were small, fixable with fines and repairs, but others, whole electrical systems installed wrong, fire hazards hidden behind drywall, permits pulled illegally, the fines piled up, the repair costs skyrocketed, and the reputation they cared so much about shattered. At the same time, Tiffany's new position at the company put her name on dozens of those fraudulent permits. Whether she knew the full extent of it or not didn't matter. Legally, she was responsible. I heard through the grapevine that investors were pulling out. Buyers were canceling contracts. Their precious family business, built on cutting corners and pretending to be untouchable, was bleeding money faster than they could patch the holes. And the best part, I hadn't even gone public yet. This wasn't about revenge for me. It was about standing up for myself, about refusing to be the punching bag in someone else's game. They wanted to humiliate me. They wanted to make me small. But they forgot the one rule you never break. Never underestimate the man who built his life with his own 2 hands, because he knows how to rebuild it, and he sure as hell knows how to tear yours down. It all came crashing down faster than I could have imagined. First came the cease and desist letters. The licensing board officially suspended my certification temporarily. Not because I had done anything wrong, but because my license was now tied to dozens of fraudulent permits. Pending investigation. That should have scared me, should have made me panic. Instead, it made me furious and determined. My lawyer was ready. We filed a counter motion immediately detailing exactly how my credentials had been used without consent. We submitted copies of emails, text messages from Tiffany's father and brother, thanking me for covering them on jobs I had never even seen. Within a week, the board cleared me, fully reinstated my license, and turned their full attention to the real culprits, Tiffany's family business. Meanwhile, building inspectors issued stop work orders on 5 major developments. Contractors pulled out. Buyers demanded their deposits back. The local news caught wind of it. Suddenly, there were headlines. Luxury developer under investigation for permit fraud. Unsafe electrical installations spark outrage. Investors fled fast. Without financing, half-finished properties sat rotting in the Atlanta heat, and the lawsuits started pouring in. Families who had bought dream homes discovered dangerous electrical issues, faulty wiring that could have burned their homes to the ground. All because Tiffany's family had cut corners and slapped my name on it like a magic stamp. People demanded refunds, repairs, damages. The family's business hemorrhaged money. Insurance refused to cover fraud. Their assets were frozen during the investigation. Their accounts drained by legal fees. And Tiffany wasn't just collateral damage anymore. Because as the director who had signed off on so many shady permits, she became a central figure in the investigation. Her cries of ignorance fell on deaf ears. Legally, ignorance wasn't a defense, especially not when there were emails with her digital signature on file. She was personally named in several civil suits, threatened with criminal charges. The woman who had once laughed as she kicked me out of my own home now spent her days sitting across from lawyers, signing away what little was left of her family's empire. When it finally came time for the divorce settlement, she didn't have the smug smile anymore. No cameras, no audience, just a pale, trembling woman sitting in a courtroom trying to salvage whatever pride she had left. The judge awarded me a significant share of the house's equity, financial compensation for unpaid labor across multiple properties, additional damages for the defamation and wrongful eviction. It wasn't just a win. It was a reckoning. I remember standing outside the courthouse afterward, paperwork in hand, feeling the weight of it all finally lift. Not triumph, not revenge, just peace. They had tried to bury me in shame, but instead they buried themselves in lies. And when the dust finally settled, the man they laughed at was the only one still standing. I took the settlement money and did exactly what I had promised myself I would. First, I expanded my electrical contracting business, hired more people, invested in better equipment, took on bigger projects on my terms with my name clean and my reputation stronger than ever. But I didn't stop there. I thought back to all those years standing in front of people who thought they were better than me because of where I came from, because of the dirt under my nails, because I built my life with calloused hands instead of silver spoons. I decided I wanted to build something even bigger, not just for me, but for every kid out there who was told they weren't enough because they didn't wear the right clothes or drive the right car. So I created a scholarship fund, a program for trade school students, for electricians, welders, plumbers, mechanics, the ones who build the world while everyone else looks down from their glass towers. The first year we awarded 3 scholarships, the second year 6, and it's only growing. That house Tiffany kicked me out of. It's gone now, sold, torn down for another luxury development that nobody wanted to buy. But me, I'm still here, still building, still standing. And you know what? I'm grateful. Because losing that house, that marriage, those so-called in-laws who never accepted me was the best thing that ever happened to me. It taught me that your value isn't measured by the approval of people who never cared about you in the first place. It's measured by the life you build brick by brick, day by day, when nobody's watching. So if you're listening to this, if you've ever been laughed at, looked down on, pushed aside, let them laugh, let them doubt you, then get up, dust yourself off, and build something so strong they'll have no choice but to choke on their own laughter. What did you think of this story? Have you ever been pushed aside by people who thought they were better than you? If you were in my boots, would you have fought back or just walked away to start fresh? I want to hear your story. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from, what you've overcome and what you're building for yourself. And if you believe that hard work, loyalty, and integrity still means something in this world, hit that subscribe button. Because here at Revenge with Max, we tell real stories of real people who didn't just survive, they rebuilt stronger, wiser, unshakable. And remember, it's not the ones who laugh the loudest that win. It's the ones who keep building long after the laughter fades. Thank you for listening. See you in the next story.